Andy, I was gonna start singing "We Are the Champions," but I,
What
I don't want to hurt our audience's ears. So,
are we not the champions? Why wouldn't you sing it?
well, we are. I was gonna sing it, but I don't want to
Yeah.
offend.
Hold on,
Yeah.
wait. Is this some kind of like are you celebrating a death that happened this morning? Is that why you think you're the champion now?
No, no, I'm not celebrating a death.
Okay, because I'm
No, we're
sure.
just as the U.S. We are the champions.
Gotcha.
That's what I was. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought you were doing
We
some
have no
kind of
time for losers, Andy, because we are the champions.
I thought this was some kind of anti-pope rant you were going on here.
No,
Um,
no, I don't have any. I don't have any ill will towards the Pope.
okay.
I was
Uh,
as an ex-Catholic. I don't have any ill will towards the Pope.
what's weird is like the Pope is the Pope, and I think there's a billion Catholics on Earth. But like
A
the
billion?
that's what I saw
No.
today. But the coverage was wall to wall today. Like it's like okay, the Pope died. Don't get me wrong, terrible. But like after like 4 straight hours of news about the Pope dying, I was ready to move on to anything else, and they kept on the Pope all day long. But interesting. Did you see who met with the Pope yesterday?
JD Vance, yeah, I texted you earlier and I
Okay.
asked you, do you think JD Vance killed the Pope?
Exactly. So I've been thinking about it ever since, and I've come to this conclusion. I don't think that JD
Hold on,
killed.
hold on, hold on.
Okay,
I have a theory.
let me
He
hear it.
annoyed the Pope to death.
That's similar to my theory. I don't think he killed the Pope. Okay, I think that meeting JD Vance might have drained his will to live. Like that's kind of where I'm at. And apparently
Okay.
JD got there 2 days ago and wanted to meet with the Pope. The Pope has like double pneumonia. He's been on his deathbed for the last couple of months, I feel like. And they said, "Hey, the Pope's not well enough to meet with you," but he met with one of like the top-ranking cardinals or bishops. I don't know who it was. And I guess that conversation went a little south. Like that guy was kind of he was talking to JD about the importance of helping those less fortunate and immigration stuff, and it wasn't taken well by JD. But apparently, I don't know how true this is, but apparently JD
Hold on.
insisted.
JD is Catholic and like all Christians, right? That's the whole thing is like helping other
Yeah,
people, not being rich, helping other people. Like this is how you get to heaven.
we
And
talked about
for whatever reason, this administration claims to be as Christian. They're the most Christian ever in the history of all like politicians or whatever, each and every one of them. But they don't want to help anybody.
I think Trump said like yesterday that he saved religion. Like if it wasn't for him, religion would be gone. He saved it. Anyhow,
Hmm.
I think we've said this on the show before, and it's hard. I want to say like I don't mean any harm against the Republicans here because I'm not trying to talk smack. But I gotta say this: if Trump showed, or not Trump, if Jesus showed up today and was saying the same stuff he was saying back then, he would be labeled a libtard or something. Like he would not be allowed in the Republican Party. Like they don't
He's a
stand.
socialist,
Yeah,
and they would, yeah, he's a dirty immigrant socialist, and they would kick him out of the country.
he'd be an open borders, open borders liberal. Yeah, I don't know. He wouldn't fit in well with today's GOP. But anyhow, Pope died. Let's all say our condolences. Apparently, I've never paid attention for the finding of a new pope, but apparently, like the cardinals and the bishops are all meeting for some secret like election that they hold to decide on who the new pope's going to be. Also,
Yeah.
interesting fact, real quick. Do you know that at the very beginning of World War One and Two, a new pope had just been selected? So
Oh, interesting.
now that's obviously not true for every new pope because there's been a bunch since then. But a new pope, twice has led to world war. Let's see it. Let's see how this works out. I don't think it's
How
gonna,
did
but
that lead to it? I don't think that led to it, but
just a sign. It's a sign there's World War III
okay,
coming. I don't think so. I just saw people pointing that out today. So,
that is
anywho,
interesting.
um,
The one thing that about this Pope was like, and I kind of saw this where like this Pope actually came out and was like for gay marriage, or like he
he,
was like,
I don't remember everything exactly. Like he basically said that gay people can be in the church or something like that, and then he. A lot of it was like, oh, he's for gay marriage, but then you look what he said, and it's like, well, he's just not against it, which is a big step. It's a big step in the right direction, but he never
huge
came
step.
out. He never came out and was like, "Yay, trans people." He just said like, "Hey, we got to be cool with everybody," or something like that. Like yeah,
I remember talking to a Republican Catholic around that time, be like, yeah, but the Pope is like completely on board now, and they're just like, well, we don't really like that Pope that much.
He was too progressive for them. And also, the one thing I've heard today from people close to me and I've seen online is they talk about the immigration thing. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, the Vatican's got walls all around it. They don't let immigrants into the Vatican. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, I see your point. Like, I don't want to argue with anybody. So I'm just like, okay, good point. Um, anyhow, so yeah, I'll say this. I think
You gotta stop arguing, Andy.
there were way more people today that are Catholics that were kind of like, yes, when they saw the Pope died than there should have been. I they were ready for
The
a new
next
one.
Pope is going to be even more radical left.
So
I, yeah,
I was
almost
thinking
guarantee
about
it.
this. I don't know the process to pick a new pope, but like I wouldn't be shocked if like Trump sends word to the Vatican that hey, they better pick a more conservative one or else he's going to put tariffs on them.
I
I
hope
don't know.
so.
Hey, funniest thing I saw on Twitter all week is apparently, for real, scientists have discovered a planet, the planet closest to us that they think there is definitely some form of life on. It's 124 light years away. I can't remember the name of it, but I saw the post, 3 or 4 times real quickly that were like, oh, here, the scientists found this. And then, like, the fourth time I saw it was a quote tweet, and the person quoting it said, 10% tariffs or something like that, and I got a kick out of it. If they did find a new planet, Trump would tariff them instantly. Just
Of course, of
universal
course.
tariffs. So
Did you
anyhow,
see what Trump had for dinner recently?
I saw you had Bill Maher.
No,
Who do you have after
he
that?
had Strickland, the pastor. I forget, it's Kenneth Strickland.
Oh no, Kenneth Copeland is who you're thinking of.
Copeland. That's
Yeah,
right.
he's the guy out of Fort Worth. There's some videos of him where that dude's intense. Like,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So
He
I
didn't
wrote,
believe Biden was the president. But
yeah,
apparently he's almost to that $1 billion mark. He's
I
almost a
can believe
billionaire.
that. I can believe
Yeah.
that. He real quick. I just saw this and don't have anything prepared for it, but remember Bill Maher had dinner at the White House like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then he went on his
Mhm.
show and he just said, "Hey, actually, like the Trump in real life is not that crazy." Like and he even said he's like, "I don't know what's scarier, the fact that like." The president isn't that scary, but he goes on TV and pretends to be that crazy and scary. Or so he said some nice things about Trump, but he definitely wasn't like I'm a Republican now. He just said, "Oh, Trump in person is quite charming." So Bill Maher took a lot of crap for that. Larry David, I guess, just tonight this came out. Larry David did an op-ed for like the Wall Street Journal or New York Post or something like that, and it's called "My Dinner with Adolf," and it's just him. It's a little 2 paragraph, 3 paragraph thing talking about how he had 1939 and I had dinner with Adolf, and he was actually quite charming in person, and blah blah blah. And he never said Bill Maher's name, but everybody immediately was like, "Oh, that's a shot to Bill Maher right there." So, like I said, don't have anything prepared on that. Hey, real
Larry
quick,
David's great.
before we get into the actual news, I got to ask you something. Um, Dungeons and Dragons and all those games, like I've been the kind of person my whole life that like if you were telling me like, "Oh yeah, I play Dungeons and Dragons," like I'd probably make fun of you. Like I'm not saying I'm right for that, but that's my gut reaction is to
Totally.
ask if you have any friends.
Dork.
Throughout the past 10 years, I've heard of this game called Magic the Gathering. And every
Okay.
time I'm shocked because like I want to make fun of it, but it'll be like a manly man, like a guy that you wouldn't suspect. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I love Magic." And anyhow, I have been invited to play Magic the Gathering this Friday night, and I was even given my own starter set of Magic cards. And they gave me a Lord of the Rings ones. Apparently, there's themed ones. So in the next 3 days, I've got to watch some YouTube videos and figure out how to play Magic the Gathering. And then I'm going to some dude's house where like it's one Friday a month, and it's like this is their deal. They get together and play Magic till like 2 in the morning. So I'm so intrigued. Like I wish I had like a hidden camera or something that I could put on me to like report back to you about how this goes. 100%, I'm
Yeah.
doing this.
This is
So
good. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so
All right.
look forward
Well,
to that next week. Anyhow,
awesome, Andy.
so excited. You can call me a dork. I'm just excited about it. Anyhow, I feel like we spent too much time on tariffs over the last several shows, but
Sure.
it's happening and it's a big deal. So I'm going to try to cover that real quick and just kind of get through tariffs and we can move on to something else. Because while tariffs are happening, we are missing a lot of like very important stories that are happening. They just aren't getting coverage because everybody's focused on the tariffs or the Pope dying or whatever it is. So to get through this real quick, I'm going to utilize people that are smarter than me. I've got a quick clip for you from CNBC.
Look at the markets, which are very unwelcome on this Monday afternoon. The Dow is down 1,270 points right now, so we're at session lows. And if we close here, it will be the 11th 1,000-point drop in the Dow's history, and it's the 4th this month. Now, the S&P broad market, here's what you need to know: down 3% and down 16% from the 52-week high. We're about 200 points above the intraday low of 49.10 on April 8th. Keep these in mind as people look for a retest, and is that an entry point? The Nasdaq is the worst of the major averages, led lower by Nvidia and Tesla. Tesla down 7% ahead of its earnings tomorrow. And of course, check the yield on the 10-year, because unlike most previous stock sell-offs, where you at least get some cushion here, nope, not getting it today. 440. This time treasuries are being sold as investors sell stocks as well. Dollars down, yields are higher.
So I got up this morning, and when I'm getting my kid ready for school, taking her to school, I go on my morning walk. On Mondays, I'm normally watching YouTube content from over the weekend that I might have missed, because I don't get a chance to watch a lot. So I was watching stuff that was 2 days old all morning. And then I sat down at 9 o'clock. I started working. I flip on the news, and the markets are tanking, and everybody's like talking about this huge sell-off that's happening. And legit, I didn't normally you can correspond it with something that happened, and I was like, did the Pope dying cause this? Like, why are we doing a sell-off? Turns out
No, it's because of all this thing. It's gonna just keep slowly going down. And
Well,
there'll be days and down days, but Trump's already wrecked everything. That's the thing.
It had
There's
kind of
not a lot he can do.
So it had kind of leveled off, and there was a chance because he had Japan and Italy coming to the White House Friday and then over the weekend. So people Thursday, Friday were relatively flat with the market. So I was expecting Monday to be flat too. First of all, did you see any of the stuff he woke up and decided to start tweeting at Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed, this morning? Have you seen any of those tweets? They were
Not this morning. I didn't hear about
so
that.
apparently that was a part of it. He called it Trump's insults are getting kind of weird because they're not funny, but he called him a major loser in all caps. Jerome Powell is a major loser, and I don't know. I was like, that you got to do better, man. You used to be better at this. But he was attacking Powell, and I was kind of like, okay, but is that enough for this? When I saw it, it was 1,200 points down. It ended up shooting back to being 970 down at the end of the day. But it was and again, the bond markets were people were selling bonds, which is going to raise the interest rate, dollars falling. It's what is happening? It turns out, did you see what China did late last night? I guess it would have been in the middle of the night for us. So China's market opens. Their day starts at midnight our time on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. So they're doing Monday morning when we're going to sleep Sunday night. They came out and said, I'm going to find the exact phrasing here. They issued a warning to the world that it will retaliate against countries that cooperate with the U.S. in ways that could compromise China's interests. So while we've been not getting anything done, China's going around making trade deals. And then I actually have a video on this. Check this out real quick.
Also, President Trump is warning countries against cheating to get around his tariffs. But China may be taking steps to interfere with trade talks between the U.S. and other nations. What is going on? Grady Trimble of Fox Business live at the White House. Hey, Grady.
Hey, good morning, Dana. China says that if the U.S. makes any deals at the expense of China, then it's going to, quote, take countermeasures in a reciprocal manner. And some experts are warning that Beijing could try to strike deals with European countries, for example, that are too good for those countries to refuse at the expense of the United States.
So that is the first time that most Republican Fox viewers have even heard that China's out making deals right now. Fox has not covered that side of things at all. And today, for the first time, they kind of broke it to their viewers that, hey, China's out here trying to make deals too. And they're actually insisting that, hey, you better not make a deal with the U.S. that's bad for us. So basically, the U.S. is trying to get everybody to join with them in isolating China to win against China. And China just threw down the gauntlet and said, if any of y'all sign a deal with the U.S. that hurts us, we are going to retaliate against you. So
they're isolating us. They're trying to ice us out. Yeah.
Yes.
And they're gonna succeed because we're the dickheads.
I'm not gonna say who's gonna succeed yet. I'm just saying that if you look at how many deals have been done since April 9th, China's up 3 or 4 to nothing right now as far as deals being done. And apparently they said it at the end of that clip, but apparently China's offering, they're kind of giving up stuff they normally wouldn't give up for the sake of isolating America. So they're offering really good trade deals that these countries can't refuse. Whereas Trump is trying to drive a hard bargain and get them to agree to things that they don't want to. So we talked about it last time, but US, China, who do you trust more? Who's better? But then you have one side offering you everything and the other side playing hardball. They're going with China. Like, it's kind of where we're at. So,
Dude.
yeah, China.
And
I'm telling you right now, China smells the blood in the water. They are giving us the noogie, like you said last week. Like they are very adamant right now. Like, no. You said you wanted to have a trade war. No, you said let's have a trade war. We're having a trade war, and they're not going to let this end anytime soon. Like they're all about it. And I read a disturbing article today. It was from The Atlantic, and it was just talking about Trump's first little mini trade war he did with them in 2018. They really weren't ready for and they have spent every day since 2018 building the right kind of economy to withstand a trade war with America and building partnerships in the South Pacific. So their last 7 years has been getting ready for the eventual next trade war, whereas we were not at all. We were increasing our global economy, kind of spreading everything out more and more.
Yeah.
They were bringing it all home to be able to win a war against us. So the thing is, in a head-to-head, China has us right now. Like just as far as who's going to break first. If America, and the whole design all along was America, along with the EU and Canada and Mexico and all of our alliance versus China, America easily wins. Right now, for some unknown reason, Trump has decided to go one-on-one and just try to take the rest of the world out of it. That was our strength, is our alliances across the globe. So
yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Real quick, I saw this today, and I choose to believe this story 100%. It's one of those where it's reporting, and it might not be true. But apparently, when Trump did the 90-day pause, 13 hours after starting the tariffs, he backed off and said he's going to do a 90-day pause. Turns out, so Scott Bassett and Lutnick, the guy that you hate, they saw what was happening in the markets. They freaked out, and they wanted Trump to call it off ASAP. Peter Navarro was like, nope, we got to stick to our guns. So they basically set up a fake meeting for Peter Navarro. They had somebody invite Navarro to a meeting that was across the street at the EEOB, the Executive Office Building or something like that. And had Navarro leave the White House and go across the street to this meeting. And as soon as he was across the street, they rushed into Trump's office, 2-on-1, convinced Trump that he needs to do a 90-day pause. They couldn't have done it if Navarro was there, because Navarro would have been basically defending it. And they convinced Trump to tweet it out. They wouldn't leave his office till he would tweet it out. And as soon as he tweeted it out, Scott Bassett ran out to get in front of the cameras and announced it to the world, to where it was this is the set policy, before Navarro could get back and realize what had happened.
Oh, wow. That
story came out yesterday. Nobody from the night, Peter Navarro, Bassett, none of them are denying that story. It appears that is truly what happened. It's good for us that they did the 90-day pause, but isn't that really scary that that's what's going on in the White House right now?
Well, this is to be expected. I mean, it's like last time, but even more of a shit show with the people who are in this. I mean, have you seen that people are dropping like flies in Pete Hegseth's administration?
Well, that's coming up here in a bit, but yeah, we're going to talk about it. What's interesting is he's firing people that have been really close to him for 10 years, people he brought into the DOD, people that these aren't Biden holdovers, and they are leaking about him right now. So we're going to get to that here in a little bit. Anyhow, let's see here. Trump did have the Italian PM. Her name is Meloni, and she's apparently kind of a Trump buddy. Like she's a right-wing person from Italy. Their right wing is not like our right wing, but if anything, she's kind of an ally of Trump in the EU. They were trying to be smart. They know they need to knock out some trade deals real quick to get everybody to calm down. So they brought in Italy and Japan, in back-to-back days. Okay,
I knew she was going to be hot.
She's not bad. She's a little older, but she's not bad. The office meeting, the Oval Office meeting with Trump, they had the cameras in. It went pretty well. There was no fireworks, these two get along. But they left without a deal, and there was really no mention of, hey, we're close to a deal. So it kind of, everybody, I think all of Trump's people were hoping they would leave with a framework for a deal or some kind of an announcement on a deal. And she just kind of left, and no deal happened. Japan
was there too. Oh, yeah.
The Japan one is scary because Japan came in and according to their trade delegation, they came out and said this to all the reporters. So this seems to be true. They said they went in and sat down, and the American trade rep said, "Okay, what are you willing to give us? Give us your best offer. What do you want to do?" And they said, "No. What do you want from us? Like we've asked what you want, and you have not told us you want. So tell us what you want, and that way we can at least consider it." And apparently, the American trade reps could not say what they wanted because they haven't been told. They were no. You give us. And so Japan left at that point. They said, "Hey, if you don't even know what you want, we're not just going to make random offers. So let us know when you know what you want." And Japan left, and apparently left pissed. Like it was a waste of their time. Why did you invite us to the Oval Office if you don't even know what you want from us to make this go away? So they went back, and then their PM made a fiery speech about how it was basically the equivalent of like, if you give a bully an inch, he's going to want a mile. Like if we give in a little here, he's just going to come back and want us to give in more in a month. So that's their mentality. Japan is our best ally in the Pacific. Like we need them for a whole host of reasons, but mainly in the fight against China, we need Japan. And Japan seems ready to tell us to kick rocks. So,
yeah,
scary.
Yeah, they're going with China.
Yeah. And then this is just funny. Sorry. I want to take a second and laugh at this. Trump is making a new tariff czar. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen this.
He is making JD Vance the tariff czar. I saw this on Twitter, and this makes total sense to me, but it's the equivalent of somebody saying, "Here, hold this gun for a minute. Make sure you get your fingerprints all over it." You know,
Yeah.
He is setting up JD to be the fall guy if this all goes south. Things are not looking good.
It's already going south.
Dude, if you're JD right now, I wonder if you can refuse this. No. This is your trade war. Leave me out of this. But no, he's basically going to give the trade war to JD. And anytime anybody asks him about it, say, "I don't know, JD's doing it. Ask him about it."
He's holding the gun.
I feel so bad for JD Vance right now.
So, well, can he change it? I mean, can he turn around and No.
This is going to be, he is getting a title for the point of needing a fall guy. They're not going to give him the power to do any of this. They're just going to say he's the tariff czar, and then Trump's going to keep doing his thing. But when it goes bad, he's going to point at JD and say, "Hey, JD was the guy." So
not my fault. I didn't do it.
Yeah. So what's that again? I've said this so many times, but like if Trump would have came in and said, "Hey, we need to get this China situation under control. With all the things China does, stealing our IP, like manipulating currency." There's a lot of truth to a lot of his beef with China, okay, that needed to happen. But the right way to do it would have been to say, "Okay, let me strengthen all of our alliances, and then let's all go the world verse China and a few random countries, North Korea, Russia, but we would have had the strength to do it." Instead, I've said this before, everything he did with the whole 130% tariffs and all this, and then dropping it down to 9 and talking smack and sending JD over to Europe to talk smack about them not having freedom of speech, like none of that was necessary if you're then going to ask the world to be on your side against China. I've been saying this forever. Ryan Grimm, who I talk about Ryan Grimm all the time. He's on Breaking Points. He's the one of the guys that started Drop Site News. Very, very in love with that guy right now. But here's him making my point for me real quick.
That's the other thing, is that these deals could be cut without trying to blow up the world.
Yeah.
Like I see all of his defenders talking as if the only way for the United States to get like Maloney on the phone is to first blow up the world. Like, again, have some self-respect. You're the United States of America, the most powerful country in the history of the world. You want a trade deal with the EU? You can do a trade deal with the EU. You don't have to throw a temper tantrum to get those calls. Like, I see all his defenders saying, "Oh, his phone is ringing off the hook." He's the president of the United States. He can get anybody on the phone he wants. He didn't need to do this. He has significantly weakened his own negotiating position.
I think there's an argument
just to get Maloney on the phone or in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, Trump and let's just say the whole world is in a big inflatable raft, and Trump is like stabbing it with a knife.
He's basically
he's
holding a blowgun right beside them, going, "I think I'm going to pop your raft," and they're begging.
He pretty much has popped it.
Yeah. It's looking weird. So anyhow, so that's
here's another one. He's at a barbecue, and he starts flipping over the table and like breaking bottles of wine and like dumping the beer in the lake.
Yeah, that's
Big temper tantrum.
he's throwing a tantrum, and that's where everybody right now, other countries, our stock market, investors, everybody just wants to see some sign of de-escalation. And China's not going to do it. So what Trump needs to be doing right now is kissing some butt with all of our other trade allies and de-escalating and getting some deals worked out. And I think he thought when he did the pause, he said, "Oh, they're lining up. My phone's ringing off the hook. Everybody wants to meet with me." And he really thought that people would come in and take whatever he was offering because he thought they want to make a deal more than I do. And we're seeing, I called it 2 weeks ago, but no, like they realize that he needs this more than they do. So they can go over and meet with us and go, "Okay, we'll think about it," and go home and leave him wondering. And honestly, what's probably going to happen is America is going to be the first to call and go, "Okay, hey, what can we do to sweeten the deal to get you to sign this?" And they're going to end up, they got the leverage. They're going to end up getting the better end of this deal.
They went into effect, what, 11 days ago? 12 days ago?
On the 9th. So yeah, we're at 12 days right now.
12 days. Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't it seem like eternity? Like it seems like it was so long ago.
He hasn't made one deal since then?
No. Oh, wait, hold on. Vietnam. There's been progress with Vietnam. I don't know exactly what. Apparently, part of it is that they are going to give him like $150 million towards a new Trump property in Vietnam as part of this deal.
That can't be legal. That just can't be legal, right?
Remember one of his first executive orders was basically legalizing bribery in the government. Like that was his first executive order. So I'll look for the full details of that because it was an interesting, and it's not finalized yet, but everything looks promising. So we are going to get Vietnam.
If Joe Biden would have done that,
I mean,
even any talks about him getting a library in another country or something where he was going to make money in another country, like
you mean the Biden crime family? They did do that in Ukraine. Come on, where you at, man?
Oh my gosh, Fox News would be going insane if this was anybody else.
Yeah. If the stock market was crashing like this under a Democratic president, the hair would be on fire.
It would be, yeah.
Let's see here. Vietnam is looking to let Musk internet company Starlink in and greenlight a $1.5 billion Trump resort to get a favorable tariff treatment. Let's see here. Yeah,
straight up bribery.
Yeah, so they're going to sign a $1.5 billion agreement with Trump personally, not the government, but Trump for a resort, and then they're also letting Elon do Starlink there. So that's what they're offering. So that's one of those where if Trump was doing all this and then he was getting all kinds of great deals for America in return, but right now it appears he's getting a great deal for him personally and for Elon personally in return for lowering the tariffs. What country
should I move to, Andy?
I'm just saying, letting Starlink in and him getting a resort doesn't help Americans at all. It only helps two people, and that's what Vietnam has put on the table so far, and it looks promising. So. That's where we're at.
What country should I move to, Andy?
I have no clue.
If anybody in the audience has a great country that I should move to, let me know.
You know, all those
shopping around.
What do they call them? The state Norway, Finland, Sweden. They seem pretty if they're bothered by the tariffs right now, they're not complaining about it. I haven't heard anything about that.
I don't think they're going to let dirty Americans into their country.
Probably not.
After
that seems like the place right now because, like I said, he hit everybody at 10%, but they're not even. If they're complaining, nobody's listening. I haven't heard them brought up once during all this. So, anyhow, all right. So the other fun thing, I hope you've seen that politically, like I'm wrong a lot, and when I'm wrong, I'm not afraid to tell you, like, yeah, I was totally wrong on this thing. This is one of those times where I'm going to tell you I was totally wrong on this thing. The last couple episodes we've talked about. His name is Abrego-Garcia. I don't want to try to Kilmar Armando Abrego-Garcia. The guy that was the Maryland father that we sent to El Salvador. I told you the last two times that this feels like a trap. Like the economy is the area that he's most vulnerable. Like this is an immigration base. It's basically going to come down to like Democrats are defending this gang member. Like I think this is a losing argument, even though Trump did the Trump administration did the totally wrong thing here. I just don't feel like it's a good argument. I'm ready to say I was a little wrong on this. Like I thought they should abandon that. Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, I believe, where Abrego-Garcia is from. He went down to El Salvador, and I think the last time we recorded, we were both kind of kind of laughing at the fact he went down there and they were stonewalling him. Like he wasn't going to get to see him. Friday night, I get home from, I think, doing something with my kid. I flip on the news, and there's a picture of Van Hollen in El Salvador standing in what appeared to be a restaurant with like on a balcony with a great view with Abrego-Garcia, who's wearing like nice jeans and a button-up shirt and like a nice Kansas City Chiefs hat, I think it was. And I was confused at what I was looking at. Have you seen this picture since?
Yeah, I've seen this.
Okay.
For sure.
So at first I was just like, holy shit, he got him out of jail? Like, if Van Hollen did that, he can run for president at this point. Like, yeah, what's going on here? And I was trying to figure out what was going on. And it turns out that he went down there the first day and they stonewalled him and said no. And then the second day they were just like, hey, you want to meet with him? We'll let you meet with him. Now, Bukele, I can't say his name right, but I'm gonna call him Bukele, the president of El Salvador. Apparently, was some chess on his part. Like he let him out, he put him in good clothes. They sent him to a swanky place. Apparently, during their little sit down, a waiter unexpectedly brought over 2 glasses that had like salted rims and like a cherry, pineapple or something on it that looked like a margarita. And like set him down on the table, and then they immediately started taking pictures. And then Bukele later was like, "Oh, look, he's drinking margaritas. He doesn't look that bad to me." But he at least got him out and got to talk to him. Couple different things on this. I got a picture I need you to pull up for me here.
Did that work?
Yeah, but your background is black again. I don't know how that is.
That's wild.
Oh wait, I see you down at the bottom. How are you doing that?
We should leave this in.
Well, the thing is, I don't think you can read the text on the screen. At least I can't.
Okay, it says Kilmar Abrego-Garcia miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador.
Yeah, so he stages that little photo, and this guy is a world-class shit talker, for the record. I was not very aware of the president of El Salvador's Trumpness when it comes to online trolling people. Been trolling people ever since. He put that one out like, oh look, he's escaped from the death camp and the torture camp, and here he is having margaritas. As soon as the meeting was over, he put this next one up. Go to that next picture I think real quick. You're having too much fun.
No. It says now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. America sign, shaking hands, El Salvador flag.
So he does that, and then bring up the very last one I sent you real quick, is America got in on this the next morning. Every time you share, your background is black. I don't understand it.
Well, there's different ones. Can you see that?
No, I can't see your screen at all.
Okay.
Here we go. Now it's coming.
Here we go.
You're gonna have to read that because I can't see it very well. But go ahead.
This is from the White House official, what is this, X page?
Yeah, we're gonna say Twitter account. It's Twitter forever.
Twitter. All right. Fixed it for you at New York Times. Oh, and by the way, at Chris Van Hollen, he's not coming back. Oh, so they're not gonna let him come back?
Yeah, no, they're getting in on the shit posting with Bukele. They got jealous that Bukele was having all the fun. But what's the original headline say before they cross it out?
It says Senator meets with wrongly deported Maryland man in El Salvador, and they crossed out wrongly and wrote in who's never come. Wait, oh, MS-13 illegal alien, and crossed out Maryland man. Oh no, just at the end they put who's never coming back.
Yeah, so he
didn't do a very good job of this. Like this is not very.
They're trying to be
MS-13 illegal alien deported. Oh. Senator meets with MS-13 deported illegal alien in El Salvador who's never coming back. Okay.
Yeah. So even though Van Hollen had a little victory, they were having fun with the trolling the next day. So, and then Bukele's been trolling ever since. This must have been his game before, but that guy is an interesting Twitter follow. I'll just say, he is trolling the libs harder than anyone, and he retweets libs of TikTok all day long too. So he's very plugged into like our right wing like Twitter ecosystem. So take that for what it's worth.
Like we talked about last time, 37% of Americans believe are gung-ho Trumpers. The rest of the world is basically against Trump. Thinks he's wrong, he's doing the wrong thing, could be evil, he could like wreck the world, he could start another like Holocaust.
Not the rest. Well, let's assume there's like 10 to 15%. And I'm probably guessing high, but let's assume there's 10%, 10 to 15% in every country who probably thinks Trump is awesome and they wish they had their own Trump. But it's a very small number in every other country.
Okay.
America's got the largest. So,
okay.
Anywho.
So it's 37%. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of America. But anyhow, so that all happened Friday night into Saturday morning. It turns out since then that apparently Abrego-Garcia has been moved. He is no longer at that one prison, but nobody's really sure where he is. But they think he's been moved. Nobody knows where he's at. Anyhow,
okay.
The Supreme Court jumped in, and I think it was either Friday night or Saturday night at 1 in the morning. Okay, a 1 a.m. ruling from the Supreme Court is odd to say the least. Now it turns out the ACLU simultaneously went to the federal court, the district court, the appellate court, and the Supreme Court. They basically went to all three at the same time and asked for an immediate injunction because they got word that like the buses were started and like they were about to ship people from this camp in Texas to the airport and fly 3 more planefuls down to El Salvador. The last Supreme Court thing said that he can deport people using the Alien Enemies Act, but even those people need to have their day in court. Basically, they get some bit of due process. So that was the last Supreme Court thing. Turns out they basically were just going to ignore that and get 3 more planes in the air because they're trying to prove the point that once the planes are gone, there's no way to possibly bring them back. So it doesn't matter what a court says. We can't make El Salvador give those people back. They belong to El Salvador now. So the ACLU went to those 3 places. The judge at the lower court level, Boasberg, I think it was, said, hey, the Supreme Court has already told me that I don't have standing here. Like this, I'm not the right court to bring this to, so I can't do anything about it. The appeals court cannot jump in unless the lower court makes a ruling. They can't just jump right in. So the Supreme Court made the unusual move of jumping right in and bypassing. Like this should have been the district court says something, the appeals court says yay or nay, and then the Supreme Court gets it. They just jumped right in. 7-2 ruling. Only Alito and Clarence Thomas said they didn't agree with it. But they basically stripped, for now, this is all temporary, but they told Trump no more deportations through the Alien Enemies Act. You can still deport people the old way, which is fairly easy still, but you can't just load people on a bus and get them out of here with no... And they basically said in their opinion that we told you last time you have to give them due process, and it appears you're not listening to us, so for now, you cannot use this power at all. Republicans are pissed. People on Twitter are calling for them to just, like, it's time to dissolve the Supreme Court. Like, the Supreme Court's not for America, get rid of them. That's where we're at. Let me see here. That's all I got on that. Yeah. So Supreme Court so far is standing up to Trump. That's all we could ask for, right?
Yes, that's all we got. That's all we have at this point. I don't know what else to say. If they don't stand up to Trump, nobody else is going to. He's got the House, he's got the Senate. Those are the 2 checks on the presidency. So,
yep. And we'll see, because the Supreme Court said this is just a pause for now. And basically what they're going to want is they're going to want the Trump administration to come to them and show their new process. How are you going to do this while still giving people due process? And the Supreme Court's going to want to see a plan for how to do that. So,
yeah. Did you see that they're arresting U.S. citizens too?
So there's been a couple that have been arrested, but then eventually released. Now they've all spent too much time behind bars. Did you see the one where it was a guy that was born in Georgia? Apparently he was Latin American, but he was born in Georgia. His mom showed up to court and had his birth certificate and social security number and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And the judge said, hey, I get it. I agree he's an American citizen, but ICE has a 48-hour hold on him, so I really can't do anything to overrule that. So and then they went to ICE and said, hey, you got the wrong guy. And I said, nope, we're keeping him for 2 days. So they got to keep this guy for 2 days just because. That's the thing is.
Who's in charge of ICE?
Tom Homan.
Okay.
He's been on the TV a lot. The thing is, everybody in America, left and right, is for the idea of, hey, let's get the illegal gang members, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, let's get them out of here. Like, I don't think there is probably 5 or 10% of like left-wing people that for some reason oppose everything Trump's doing. But for the most part, the idea of getting rid of like illegals that are here and committing vicious crimes, you get that's a win. Just do that. If you're going to do that, there is inevitably going to be one or two cases where you accidentally grab the wrong guy. The right way to handle that is to immediately, upon learning you grab the wrong guy, say, "Oh, our bad. Sorry. Here you go. You're free." Like if they were admitting their mistakes right away and remedying the situation, none of this would be that big a deal. The problem is every mistake they've made, the gay hairdresser, Abrego-Garcia, this guy, like they're just doubling down and saying, "Nope, we meant to do it. He's staying with us." Like they kind of refuse to say they were wrong. And that's a Trumpism right there. Is never admit you did something wrong, just double down on it.
Well, there's reports that 75% of the people they've transferred over there have a zero criminal record.
75 to 90% is what I've seen. But let me say this, because I think there could be someone who is definitely Tren de Aragua or MS-13 that also doesn't have a criminal record, but like they have tattoos all over their body that say MS-13. I'm okay with those people being gone. Like I learned this today because Trump's got that picture of Abrego-Garcia's fist and whatever. There's like 4 things tattooed right here, and Trump says that they're like the code for MS-13. I watched a guy today that seemed to know a lot about this, and apparently MS-13 is not bashful about being MS-13. No. Like they have tattoos that say MS-13
on their face. Yeah.
Exactly. Like they don't hide it at all. There is no code for MS-13. In fact, if you're in MS-13 and you don't have tattoos that say you are, like they will jump or kill you because you're not being loyal and getting the tattoos all over you. So anyhow, they just need to admit they've made some mistakes, and when they do make a mistake, they need to fix the situation. I don't think they're going to do it, but that's where we're at.
And I was just watching David Pakman, and he has been advised not to leave the country because he's a naturalized citizen, right?
Is he Canadian or something? What is he?
Argentinian.
Okay. Didn't know that.
So his parents were from Argentina. That's confusing. He said that when he was like 8 years old, they took him down to the DMV and he just had to apply for a passport, and that gave him citizenship, right?
Okay.
Something along those lines. And
probably started his path to citizenship.
Right. So he's afraid that the next thing is they're going to start kicking out because what's the evil guy's name?
There's so many evil guys.
The evil bald guy.
Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller. Yeah. Stephen Miller's plan. He wants to get rid of all immigrants, like even like U.S. citizens who came over here legally and went through the proper channels. Like he still wants them out of here for some reason.
So I don't think we're going to get to that yet, and maybe I'll be wrong on that. But what's happening? The reason that Pakman should be scared is there's been a couple people that are like, they are U.S. citizens. They're naturalized U.S. citizens, which means they weren't born here, but they became citizens, and they've left the country. And when they come back, they get pulled into like a room for screening, and several of them, and like they're all like doctors. They have good jobs. It's not like these are possibly gang members. And the report is that ICE is demanding they turn over their cell phone, and basically they plug their cell phone into something and steal all the data because then they want to be able to go through the person's emails and social media and I guess use AI real quick to run it and see if they've been talking bad about Trump or America or in favor of
What if they were talking bad about Trump?
Then they're not getting back in. Like that's why they're doing it. So I've read a couple accounts of this where one of them was like a doctor in Boston that was originally born in France, but has been here most of their life and went back to France to visit when they came back. And they tried to say no and refuse their cell phone. And they ended up getting held for like a day and then eventually gave up their cell phone. And the government basically plugged it in and took all the info and said, okay, here you go. See you later. And now they have that person's info. Like that doesn't seem right. But I mean, you know how me and you grew up fishing and stuff. Like game wardens have a real weird, like they have more power than a normal cop. Like a game warden can search all your stuff for no reason. I think with ICE and like customs enforcement and all that, it's the same thing where they don't have to play by the same rules that cops do. If you're coming into this country, they get to do a lot more to thoroughly vet you than a cop would get to on a normal stop. So
yeah, Pakman said like definitely if you are a naturalized citizen, like have a lawyer, like the phone number of the lawyer you want to use. Make sure you can actually get a hold of that person, and have them on your speed dial, and just in case.
Well, and apparently several European countries are recommending to not just their like diplomats and stuff, but just normal people that are traveling to America to get basically a burner phone, like one of those prepaid phones you can get. Do not take your cell phone to America. Get one of those prepaid ones and use that for all your communication in America, but do not take your phone to America is what they're telling. Don't take your laptops.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right. And that's how the rest of the country is viewing our situation is like, if you've said anything bad about America, don't go because they'll probably send you to El Salvador. And also, even if you haven't said anything bad, just don't take your phone. So,
well, I mean, yeah, when does it kick over and do they just start kicking out everybody who said anything bad about Trump and America?
I mean, that's the day me and you should fear. So, get ready.
Yeah.
We might not get to pick the country we go to. It might be decided for us.
I do not want to go to El Salvador, that's for sure.
Yeah, would not be good. Anyhow, I'm gonna let you talk about the thing you were wanting to bring up earlier. What did you see about Hegseth earlier today?
What did I say? I don't remember what we were talking about.
People are
Hegseth?
dropping like flies at the Department of Defense.
Oh,
Have you seen
yeah,
anything about
yeah.
this?
Yeah. So Hegseth, apparently, yeah, there was like 4 people that quit today in Hegseth's organization. And did you see his weird Easter rant?
I have that for us tonight. Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
let's give me a second. We'll get to that. But yeah, so starting last week, there was a leak a couple weeks ago where all of a sudden there was a story that Elon Musk was heading to the Department of Defense like the next day, and he was going to get briefed on like confidential battle plans with China. And the White House denied that over and over. And then he still made the trip, but there was no confidential meeting or anything like that. But then it came out later that there was a meeting and the White House did not know about it. And when like Susie Wiles and some of those people found out about it, then they basically scrubbed the meeting. It was not going to happen, but that was the original plan. So the Department of Defense has been trying to figure out who the leaker is for like the past week to figure out how that story got out. And I think it was 2 of Hegseth's like top guys, like guys that he brought with him to the Department of Defense. They were not there before. They're not Biden holdovers. One of them has worked with JD as his right-hand man, or not JD, sorry, with Hegseth for like 10 years. He was with him at all those veteran charities that he ran. Like this guy is his right-hand man that does everything. And they fired these 2 guys and they basically put it out that they're the leakers. So they got rid of them. These 2 guys are claiming that they were told there'd be some kind of polygraph. They never got polygraphed. One of them said they were told, oh, yeah, we're about wrapped up. You guys are going to get cleared. And all of a sudden on Friday, they got like perp walked out of there. Like security came, got them, escorted them to the door, took their badge, said, hey, we'll send you your stuff. You don't get to go back and get it. So these 2 guys are big time Trump guys and big time Hegseth guys. And as soon as they got fired, they started leaking. They started telling everything. One of them wrote an article for Politico, an op-ed, and it was brutal. And this is a guy that's been with Hegseth for 10 years. And he was basically saying the president needs to fire him. The Department of the Pentagon is in shambles right now. He said there's more stories about to drop. Like there's some shady shit going on that's about to come out. But they rolled over on their buddy Hegseth.
Awesome.
So Hegseth, I don't know if you remember, but every time that this has happened, he gets real defiant. And that was one of the things in the Political story that this guy wrote, is they said, hey, the number one rule when all this happens is get all the bad stuff out immediately. And if you can beat the press to it, you be the one to give the bad stuff, because then it's going to hurt for a day. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid, but then it's over. The number one thing you don't want is where it's a slow leak, where more stuff keeps coming out each day, because that keeps the story going. And apparently the PR team that Trump put together for him at the White House put together a Pentagon PR team, and they were basically using the wrong tactic. They were trying to deny it and basically allowing for this to drag out. Anyhow, Hegseth always gets very, very like intense and defensive. And let's watch what he said. This is at the Easter, what they call it, the Easter egg roll at the White House, with his kids are standing right behind him. And if you can pay attention to their faces a little bit, because they seem to not enjoy this. But here is Pete Hegseth from C-SPAN.
And anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids, because, you know, this is what we're doing it for. These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. This group, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with axes to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know it, we know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing for the president, fighting hard across the board, and I'm going to go roll some Easter eggs.
The whole time, I'm just thinking this guy does not deserve to have children. Like,
So-
he is a guy who should not be breeding.
He's got a lot of kids with three different ladies, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Anyhow, during his confirmation hearing, when all the bad stuff was coming out of him, he kept saying, like word for word, he kept saying the same thing, like, "Thank you. Hold on. You're so awesome." All right. No, during his confirmation hearing, every time they'd bring one of these things up, he'd say, "That is an anonymous smear." And it was like, no, it's not anonymous. Like we have the lady right here. She's saying like none of it was anonymous, but he kept saying it was an anonymous smear. And even in this case today, he's saying this is nothing but anonymous smears, and it's not true. But it's like, no, it's your two guys you just fired that are telling everybody what's going on over there. That's his line of defense is it's an anonymous smear, and it's never been anonymous. Okay, there are times when it is anonymous. It is not anonymous with Hegseth at all. And then it turns out Hegseth, you know, his whole signal gate that happened a couple weeks ago where they invited the reporter to be part of the signal chat.
Oh yeah.
Turns out he had a second signal group going where he was sharing all that same information, the times the F-18s were launching and all that. And on that group chat, it was his wife, his brother, and his personal lawyer. Now, his brother has since been hired at the Department of Defense to be like his new right-hand man. I don't think he was at the time. His wife has no security clearance, but he included on that thread, it was his wife, his brother, his lawyer, and then those two guys that he just fired. So it's like, okay, where did that story come from? With screenshots, by the way. Of course, those two guys you just fired. So
Totally.
not anonymous. It's those two guys. But it came out this morning. It's like midday. Stories started breaking that the White House is quietly looking for a new Secretary of Defense. Like Hegseth is about to be out, and they're going to get a new one. And then I will say though, at the end of the day, Trump and Caroline Leavitt both came out and said, "No, that's bogus." Now they say that all the time. They say, "No, we're not going to fire him," all the way up to the point where they fire him. But the theory is that if the new Signalgate thing is the only thing that happened, he probably won't get fired. But if that one guy's name is Dan Connolly, which he just went on Tucker Carlson, and that got dropped tonight. I haven't watched it yet, but he went on Tucker, so I'm very curious what that's going to look like. But everything he's saying about how there's big stories to come this week about what's going on over there, if he's right and 2 or 3 more bad stories come out, I think we've seen the end of Hegseth. So
what worse demon are they going to put in that spot?
Exactly what I was going to say. I'm going to caution you that he's probably going to get replaced by somebody worse. Like that's really what we're looking forward to. So
somebody a little more capable.
That's what's sad. It's one of those where if this wasn't Department of Defense, I would say no, leave the chaos guy there because they can't get anything done. But we kind of need the Department of Defense to be functioning properly. Like that would be very nice if that was running well.
I was thinking about this today when I was listening to all this stuff coming out about Hegseth's, and I was like, okay, so let's just say like China decides to invade us. Russia and China. Russia comes in from the north, China comes in from the south, and they decided to invade us. Like, we have Trump and Hegseth as our like main operations experts for this. Like, we're screwed.
Yeah.
It's not good.
What stinks is so we had some good generals, but Trump got rid of all of them because he said they were Biden era, which a lot of them weren't. A lot of them had been there, since the last time Trump was there. But we got rid of a lot of our leadership. I don't think it's going to go well. Let's hope nothing happens. Okay. We really can't afford to have that happen right now. But with Hegseth, I got to say, I think I do want him to go. The only reason is, and here's what's going to get bad. They have to confirm whoever the new Secretary of Defense is, and the Senate doesn't seem as willing to just do whatever Trump says right now. They're hurting because of the tariffs and everything. So I think that there's a chance the Senate would stand up to him. What's bad though is he has like 8 months where he can do a temporary appointment to fill that spot, and he can do it for 8 months till they try to actually get somebody confirmed. So he could make that temporary guy the worst guy in the world. I don't know who it would be, Stephen Miller or somebody, but he would have like 8 months of whoever he wants until he has to finally confirm somebody. So yeah,
I mean, don't you want like an ex-general as your
anybody but Hegseth? I don't know. So.
Okay, anybody but Hegseth.
Yeah. Ooh. Did you hear about Ice Barbie?
Ice Barbie is
Kristi Noem.
Kristi
Noem is the she's the head of what is she? Homeland Security, I think. And she's been taking crap. I didn't pull any pictures of this, but she's been basically cosplaying in every role she can. Like she's a helicopter pilot. She's knocking doors with an AR-15. Did you see the one where she's holding her AR-15 and it's pointing right at the head of the guy beside her? And the guy actually turns. The guy turns and sees it. You see it on his face, and he like takes a step back because her gun's, as they call it, flagging. Her gun's flagging him. But she's been taking crap from Megyn Kelly, and a bunch of right wing people have kind of had it with her shtick of getting all playing dress up with all this. But this is just an odd one, and I'm curious to see if anything else is going to come out of this. She had her purse stolen from dinner last night, it looks like, in D.C. At a restaurant in D.C., somebody stole it right off the table. In her purse was her driver's license, her medication, apartment keys, passport, Department of Homeland Security access badge, a makeup bag, blank checks, and $3,000 in cash.
Why?
That's what so that everything else is normal up to at that point, but she had $3,000 in cash on her. And I don't think we're ever going to hear anything else about that, but immediately I was like, why does she have $3,000 in cash on her in her purse? And maybe I have no clue what life in DC is like. Maybe everybody all the politicians have a stack of cash in their pocket. I don't know why, but I'm right there. I'm so curious.
This is the major problem with America is our politicians have stacks of cash.
And
gold bars in their suit jackets.
I don't think we're ever going to hear anything else about it. But in my mind, ever since I saw that story today for the first time, I've been just kind of thinking like, why does she have $3,000 in cash? That doesn't make sense to me.
I want to know what kind of medication she's on.
And apparently so this is what's weird is she's under Secret Service protection. Like there should have been somebody standing right near her table, and apparently there wasn't. And like Secret Service was able to go find the security at the bar or the restaurant, and they found the video footage. And all we know is it was a white male wearing a medical mask. So I'm thinking like one of those COVID-19 medical, the blue mask. But just walked by and took her purse and walked out the door. And Secret Service. That's the other thing. It's like, why does she have $3,000? And how did Secret Service, who's supposed to be protecting her, not notice somebody stealing her purse? Like, I'm very confused by all this. So, nothing really big there. That's just one of those where, like, huh? Like, what are we doing here? So,
I mean, what happens to that guy who gets caught stealing her purse?
Oh, he'll get sent to El Salvador. I think that's what has to happen.
Is that what happens?
I think it's the law. I'm not positive, but I think that if you steal Kristi Noem's purse, you go to El Salvador.
Dude, have you noticed that like everywhere there's armed guards just everywhere now?
Like I have not seen that. I have not seen that.
I've noticed this. So every time I've gone into like a Whole Foods, there's an armed guard standing at the front. Okay. Every time there's like a mall nearby, and I went in there and there was like an armed guard in front of one of the stores that I walked into, and there's like a few of the stores in that mall. And then I went to a different mall, like a really nice mall, and there was armed guard in the Neiman Marcus.
My question would be, and this I'm going to try to be very careful about how I say this, but like where you live, in all those areas you just described, I'll bet there is a large minority population.
So the one area was Cherry Creek, and it's like the super nice area. Like there's it's a Neiman Marcus.
Okay.
And then the Whole Foods, that's a pretty decent area.
Yeah.
But like I'm just noticing it a lot more in Colorado. Like there's just armed guards at stores. Like I guess they're hiring, instead of an extra employee, they're hiring an armed guard.
So that makes me think that they're starting to think that with the economy going bad, there could be protests, riots, increased theft. Where I'm curious is, the reason I was asking about minority population is like, I'm not seeing that at all, but I also live in like the whitest, most conservative part of America. So like if riots break out across the country, they're not going to break out here. There's nobody on the left to riot. So I will say the hands off protest or whatever happened again in my city recently. And it was Saturday, I believe. And I saw pictures. It seemed like it was a big crowd again. So I guess there are some coming out of the woodworks. But yeah, no, I'll keep my eye out for that. But I wonder if that's going to be, like in Denver, for example, like that's a place where you could have some George Floyd style riots. Didn't you guys have those going on back in 2020, 2021?
Yeah, but if there's a group of rioters coming into a Whole Foods to steal food, like one guy's not yeah, what's the one guy who's
he's gonna open
flag
fire.
jacket?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Hopefully not.
Okay, I don't know.
But I feel like it's been 3 Whole Foods I've been into, and and this has been over the last like 4 or 5 months, 6 months maybe. Started noticing it a lot.
I haven't seen it.
So,
I'll start paying attention. I'm just jealous you have 3 Whole Foods. Man, I need to move back to a big city.
Parts of town. I live in the mountains, so I got to go into town. And
Gotcha. Yeah, I have 1 Whole Foods, and it's 40 minutes from my house, so I'm not as lucky as you. So
they make a pretty good pizza.
Dude, their pizza by the slice I stumbled onto like a year ago. It's pretty solid. So,
and if you go in there on, I think Fridays, you can buy a whole pizza for $10. A cheese pizza, a whole cheese pizza for $10.
Okay. With inflation, I'm going to need that. as the economy craters, I'm going to start jumping on that. So, okay. So the only thing I have left is I feel like we haven't talked enough about RFK recently. Have you seen anything that RFK has been up to?
Oh yeah, I was going to bring this up. They're stopping food inspections.
That was one of the things so because of a 30% budget cut, the FDA will cease routine food inspections at food factories. That seems like to me, Maha would be making sure that the things we're buying, the food we're buying to put in our body is safe for our body. To me, that means food inspections, food safety inspections. I don't understand how Maha equals cutting our food safety or food safety inspections. I don't know. Can you explain that in a way that makes sense to me? Because I don't get it.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Like why?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make America healthy again. Okay. When were we healthy to begin with?
I don't know. I guess back in the 50s when we were eating straight butter and there's some book that I've been told to read that's like eat what your grandmother ate or something like that, where it's like don't use margarine, use butter, don't use this, use that, and it's healthier, I guess.
Don't eat sugar, no Pop-Tarts.
There's I guess RFK or the Department of HHS or whatever it is, they put out a tweet where it shows like the increase on a graph of autism, and then underneath it is the increase in use of vaccines, and it appears to be a direct correlation. We're like, oh look, as we use more vaccines, autism went right up with it. The funniest thing I've seen is all week long people have been basically making their own, where it's like, look, the rate of autism also went up with the rate of us eating organic foods, or there's 20 different things you could put and be like, oh look, there's a correlation here. I still don't know. He's doing he promised that by September they're going to know the cause of the rise of autism. This was in the cabinet meeting, and the fact that he put a deadline of September on. That makes me, as a skeptical person, say, "Oh, then this is a pre-baked deal. Like they already know what the answer is going to be. They're going to make it look like." Now,
hold on. Let's get our audience involved. I want you guys to make a comment on what you think the outcome is going to be. Autism is due to vaccines, or autism is not due to vaccines.
It's going to be either vaccines or toxic chemicals in our environment, Roundup and things that are entering the food supply. It'll be one of those two things. I don't know which one, but that's definitely what it'll be. And I think that the whole, the stuff that enters our drinking water that pesticides farmers spray on their crop, like that seems like that could easily be part of it. I would love, let me say that I would love if RFK was going to do a for real study that it's not going to take 4 months. Like the fact that he said it'll be done by September scares me. But if he said, hey, we're going to do a study and we're going to take as long as it takes to figure out what the answer is, then we're going to report back to you. I'm all about that. If there's something that's poisoning us, let's figure that out. The fact that he put a September deadline on it kind of scares me. And then also real quick, did you know that we had an E. coli outbreak in the past 4 months here in America?
Nope.
Apparently, the government just didn't tell us. 88 people got sick, 1 got killed, and one almost died. It was a 9-year-old boy that almost had kidney failure because of it, but apparently ended up living. And it was all linked to romaine lettuce. And normally, when E. coli starts popping out, the government pulls all the romaine off the shelves and they track it back and they figure out, and they're always able to say, hey, it came from this one romaine processing plant in Georgia or wherever it was. Apparently, they just aren't looking into that. It kind of stopped on its own. Only 88 people got sick and 1 died, and they just weren't planning on telling us about it. So
that's scary. That's terrifying.
We talked about it before, but with the whole with the bird flu, the bird flu numbers miraculously went way down when Robert Kennedy got in, and it's did the numbers go down or did we just stop testing? Because it seems like we might have just stopped testing. So we've got that going for us, and then. RFK made his first speech as HHS secretary the other day. Did you see any clips from this?
Is this when? Yeah. I did see some of this. Yeah, he.
Okay.
I forget exactly what he said, but a lot of crazy shit.
We're going to talk about most of it in a second, but I saw one clip that was so perfect that I wanted to try. I wanted to plagiarize it and do my own riff on it, but I figured no, I want to let this clip stand on its own. So this is our last clip of the night. Check this out real quick.
Comments from Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that are raising eyebrows. During his first news conference as the nation's top health official, he addressed rising autism rates while calling the disease preventable.
RFK Jr.'s bleak description of people living with autism causing outrage.
Autism destroys families. These are kids who will never pay taxes.
Wait, that's what you're gonna lead with? Like that's the big tragedy for you? These poor kids will never know the joy of attaching a Schedule K to a 1040A.
Yeah.
So
he went on to say they'll never write a poem, they'll never get a job, they'll never fall in love.
So I thought that was a stare. The fact that he led with "they'll never pay taxes" is like the ultimate Republican. Priorities here. They're never going to pay taxes. But so I saw immediate backlash to that, and I want to be real open. I got a cousin on each side that's I don't know when I was growing up, they were mentally retarded. That was the diagnosis. I don't know if that's you can still say that. I don't know how the spectrum works these days, and I'm not very close with either of those cousins. So I don't want to make it sound like, oh, this has affected me. When I saw what he said, I was like, okay, everybody's pissed. Let me go back and watch the whole thing. And I watched it, and I was a little confused. I was like, okay, like everybody's real pissed about this, and I was like, are we getting outraged over nothing? So I do have one friend up here who I've told you about this friend before. She's the one who taught me about person first language, where you don't say this is a retarded person, you say this is a person that is mentally retarded, and it's all about how you structure the sentence. So I knew that she'd have an opinion on this, and I got to see her the next day, and I just said, hey, real quick, I need your opinion. I don't know if this is something we should be outraged or not, but RFK, and the second I said RFK, she turned and was just ready. She was like, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I can see it on your face. What he said, was it offensive to you? And then she went on for 5 or 6 minutes and letting me know just how effed up everything he said was, and the fact that it puts a stigma on people on the spectrum and this and that. And I can't even try to repeat it, but she convinced me that there's reason to be outraged. I'm not going to lie. When I watched it, I'm not close enough to the issue, so I'm not. But apparently he's pissed off most parents. I don't want to say every, but almost every parent of someone with special needs got really upset when they heard that speech. So that's where RFK's at, canceling food inspections and upsetting parents of autistic kids.
Way to go, RFK.
Yeah. So,
This
but
is
he's gonna
America.
find the cause of autism by September. So that's the good thing. We're good there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Maha,
Good.
baby. Maha.
Maha. Make
Yep.
America happy again.
It should be. So anyhow, that's all I got for tonight. You got anything to close with?
No. Again, like and subscribe.
Yeah. Like
Write
and
us a comment.
find us on Blue Sky. And yeah, that's about it.
Oh yeah, Blue Sky. Forgot we had Blue Sky.
I haven't been I do it for 2 or 3 days in a row where I'm like, oh yeah, Blue Sky. And then I forget for like 2 weeks. And then I'm like, oh yeah, Blue Sky. So I'll try to
There's so much more drama on X, so
I can't quit Twitter, and like I keep telling myself I need to get off this toxic thing, but at the same time, like that's where everything's happening. Like the toxicity is feeding something I need, so kind of where I'm at.
Yes, makes sense.
Hey, my dog's here.
All right, brother.
Docs?
What's up, Gunny?
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
later.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.